So Cancer season comes here very, very soon. The sun will enter Cancer. But more than that, there is Mercury Cazimi in Cancer coming up shortly after Mercury then joins the sun. I want to talk about in this video the Cancer archetype and how we can utilize it, because I think it's some of the most important astrology over the next little period. All right, welcome. Glad that you're here. This is S.J. Anderson with another video. In this video, I'm talking a bit about Cancer season and Cancer, the archetype, and because it's important. I'm trying to get out ahead a little bit of some of the upcoming astrology, and that way, you can see me speak about it and engage a little bit with some of these charts and maybe plan a little bit or feel into what these energies may be bringing to you. And it's really important because if you recall, in the current transiting sky, you've got the mutable signs contain Saturn in Pisces. You have Mars in Leo. And so the modality of mutability, the modality of fixity contain these more difficult energetics. And then you have the lunar nodes in fixed signs still. So cardinal signs are free, relatively free from some of these challenging transits. And then what we get is the sun and Mercury together, joining, both entering Cancer and then joining there and meeting there. And so let's just dive into it. Let's look at it, because if I had to pick a zone of the zodiac where there is opportunity and maybe smoothness, it's this zone of Cancer. Everybody's got it in their chart. The first thing, let's just jump into these dates. You can see, so 21 June, that's coming up here in 2 days from when I record this. The sun will enter Cancer. The sun will remain in Cancer until 23 July. These are pretty fixed dates. The sun moves consistently year to year. There's variance every year, but not very much. It's basically 20 June, 20 July, 20-ish June, 20-ish July, and it's very, very consistent. And then Mercury joins 27 June, so about 6 days later, and Mercury then leaves Cancer about, 11 days, 12 days before the sun leaves. And so there's this 3-week overlap, it looks like, roughly 3 weeks or so, when Mercury and the sun are there in Cancer together. And then there's this new moon in Cancer on 17 July. Mercury will be gone at that time, but still, it's a syzygy, it's a refreshment, it's the next new moon right here in the sign of Cancer. So Cancer is a major player over the next month. We have to engage its powers, and that's the purpose of this video. I want to just engage it some so that we, you, me, all of us are prepared to navigate this upcoming astrology. That's the purpose of this channel, by the way, is navigating upcoming astrology. If I had to pick one phrase for this channel, that would be it, or that is it. And so I want to just pick a couple of charts. Really, this one chart is the chart I want to use as the representative of Cancer season. It's this Mercury Cazimi on July 1st. It's one of the best examples of this flow of energy of the Cancerian. And you can see it here, July 1st, 2023. I've got a London, England chart here, 6:05 British summertime. Cancer rises the moment of this Cazimi, and the sun and Mercury in Cancer are closely applying both to Jupiter and Taurus. It's one of the lovely features of this Cancer season, is you have Jupiter and Taurus overcoming sextile to the sun and Mercury as they move through Cancer. And this Cazimi is a wonderful opportunity. All of these points are in the 10th degree of their relative sign. What is Mercury? Analytical, communicative model. That's what Mercury is. It's the detail orientation. It's the phrase I often use. So that detail orientative model merges with the light of consciousness, which is the sun. The sun is the container of self. It's the perceptive, faculty at a more bird's eye level. It's kind of like the perception, and in a general sense, and Mercury is the detailed thoughts that are just shooting through the perception at all times. So when they merge, you can see how auspicious that is, because it's the higher level perception meets the details and meets the specificity of thinking, and you get this beautiful almost alignment of awareness, thought form, to then deploy in the ways that you would want to deploy it. This is a lovely chart. It's the superior conjunction of Mercury overcome precisely by Jupiter in that same degree. This one's lovely. The moon is in Sagittarius. One of the better moons, all things considered. This is a waxing moon. In this chart, I think the next applying aspect of this moon, so it's separating from Saturn and it's applying to Venus. It'll meet Venus about a day later. But still, you got an application to Venus building right around this Mercury Cazimi. It's a lovely chart if you're looking for one to initiate something, or if you're having to act here in over the next little period, this is one I would be very interested in for you. But let's come back. It's in the sign that's about deep and profound truth, which is Cancer. One of the most complex archetypes in the zodiac and the most important archetypes in the zodiac, the rising sign of the Thema Mundi chart, the astrologer's teaching chart that we say is the birth chart of the universe, but it was developed by astrologers as a teaching tool according to Firmicus Maternus. I believe he's the one who discloses it as a teaching model. So let's go a little bit more into this Cancer idea. What is this deep and profound complexity of Cancer? Because when you have the alignment of self and analysis, it will be expressing through this profundity, this Cancerian profundity. So we need to deeply lay out here and delineate the glasses that the Sun and Mercury will be perceiving through. And those are the Cancerian glasses. The Moon and Jupiter are the primary rulers of Cancer. The Moon, according to Vedi's Fallons, is the ruler of foresight, right there in Book 1, Chapter 1, which I always think is lovely because it brings in our modern and contemporary sense, we have this notion of, I think about it in this way, like there's often new moon manifestation rituals that can be very popular in just the contemporary scene, right? Contemporary occultism. You might even say pop occultism. Sometimes astrologers, they kind of look down or raise their nose up a little bit. Oh, I don't want to have anything to do with that. But when you read Valens, it's pretty clear the moon being that ruler of foresight, there's something about manifestation with the moon. And I've always thought the idea of like doing a new moon ritual, a new moon circle, which can be quite popular. Some of the yoga communities I was in back in Austin, they would have like new moon circles or new moon rituals. It really does embody this primary feature of the moon, which is that it rules foresight. And all planetary energies, remember, any electional astrology that you study, the first thing they're going to say is the moon is primary. What's the moon doing? Always watch the moon, and then that's like a primary concern for any election. Of course, that's how I do elections too. The moon is number one. I'm way more concerned about the moon than anything else in an electional chart. And it's because the planetary energies flow through the moon. These ancient cosmologies have the moon as the closest realm to the realm of Earth. So energies flow right through the moon. Everything comes through the moon, you might say. In fact, it is the body. When you read any text, the moon is the body and the mother, the womb that we arise out of. That's why it's so complex. I mean, think about all the thought about birth trauma and about gestation and what is the womb. What does Freud say the womb is? The sea of oneness or something like this. The cosmic sea that we're in the womb. We're just encased in the womb. We're fed in the womb, and then we emerge out of the womb. I just watched the first sequences of this movie, Ari Aster's new film. I think it's My Name is Bo, or This is Bo, or something like this, with Joaquin Phoenix. And the opening scene is someone emerging from the birth canal, the main character. And I didn't watch much more than that. It just didn't grab me. Maybe I'll come back to it. But that's how primal it is. Oceanic oneness, I think, is the Freud phrase. It just came back to me. But that's how primal what we emerge out of. All of us have come from a womb to a T. All human beings that we know of have emerged out of a womb. We've been encased in those bodies and gestated there. And this is how profound it is. It's like the root core of the self. We're all maybe even still processing the birth trauma or the periods of gestation. I know there's stories. I mean, babies take in so much from the environment, even when they're in the womb. That's how primal and fundamental it is. And this relates to the idea all planetary energies flow through the moon, just like all beings flow out of a body that they've gestated in. So what's Jupiter? The overseer of the life breath and abundance. This is from Porphyry. This is Holden's translation of Porphyry. And I thought this is so powerful because it's life, the life breath. First thing we do when we emerge, we take those breaths. Sometimes it's crying. And it's the abundance of the reality we're born into. Just look around. I mean, there's just so much life out there. Just right out what I'm seeing out my window. I mean, there's green flowers and the trees and all of it. And it's this time of year. I know some of you are down under, okay? This is not as much applicable, but in the analysis of the significations of the signs, fundamental is the notion that during Leo and Cancer season, when the sun is there in that northern hemisphere, you have life, right? It's the peak solar component of the year, and there's a lot of activity in life. Opposite that is Saturn, and that's when the sun is in Aquarius and Capricorn. It's cool. It's the coolest that it gets. So it's no light in winter and plenty of light in summer. Even though in the southern hemisphere it is winter now, then it's north. The sun is north. So that's another way to maybe think about the symbols. It's high. It's so-called north when you measure it. Vic DeCara did some videos on that I always appreciated. Wherever you are on Earth, the sun is north most during Cancer and Leo season. This has to do with the symbolism of Cancer, right? We celebrate the life abundance and the deep nature of what we've emerged from. And that's what, with the Cazimi here on 1 July, we'll be able to access, I think, in some profound ways. Just talking about this, give an opportunity for me, it certainly is. I love talking about it, but you listening to me, maybe, this will get your mind around some of how you want to be in this next little period, those dates right here in late June, early July. It's just so beautiful and profound. And here is the one film character that to me is the most emblematic of Cancer, and this is the Oracle from the Matrix. Look at her. Just amazing. It's a mom energy, a mom vibe. This scene when Neo comes to meet the Oracle for the first time, what's he seeking? The wisdom that the Oracle will give him. It's like built up in the picture where it's like, what's she going to tell you, Neo? What will the Oracle share with you? And Neo's like, well, what did she share with you? Did it come true? And they're like, yeah, it's coming true. There's this idea that this mother figure is conveying the wisdom, the truth. This can be Jupiter in a certain sense. The cone-like nature of the language, that's all more Jupiterian. It's high level, profound realization conveyed through this mother-like figure, Cancer, the moon, the mother. And in this scene, it's amazing. She's baking cookies and gives Neo a cookie. And in all of these astrological texts all the way back, the moon is the mother. In a lot of cultures, you have moms cooking for families or cooking for kids. I know my mom made me cookies when I was a kid. So there's this idea of this life force, this sustenance, this Jupiterian lunar power of the Cancerian, that this is the symbol that I love for it. Where's your Oracle coming up here, June and July? Mercury Cazimi, right in Cancer, overcome exactly by Jupiter, same degree. Look for some oracles speaking to you, some truth and some wisdom coming through right here, right this time this summer. Venus is not retrograde. Venus is stationing retrograde 23 July. This is like the peak of this pre-Venus retrograde moment, is this conveyance of deep and profound Cancerian truth and wisdom. And that's the main purpose of this video, keying you into this, keying myself into it by talking about it. Look at the symbol for Cancer. It's a crab. This is the animal symbol that we assign to Cancer. What is a crab? Well, first of all, maybe the most notable thing is it's got a shell, a case, that animal is inside the shell. I don't even know what it looks like if you were to take that shell off. Is it some kind of jellyfish or something? I should get pictures of that. I don't know if I want to Google image that. But it's known as having this home that it's encased in, a shell, a hard shell that you can't break through. And this is a side here. It's the container that protects, that without we cannot survive. No one can survive without shelter. It's fundamental to the being. I've got clothes on because it protects me from the elements. I have this house that I'm living in. I can sleep in my bed and get some great rest. By the way, this is the Cancer moon I was talking about in my last video. I'm recording it just after that. Boy, I got some of the best sleep I've had in a long time. I just lay down 9 hours straight. It was lovely. But this is the idea of Cancer, that we have these encasements of a protective home that we can be nourished and nurtured within that container. It's one of the fundamental significations of the moon. It's mom, body, home. Those are the three. And they're all part of Cancer because the moon is that primary domicile lord of Cancer. But you see it right in the symbolism. And remember, Mars is the triplicity lord. You see those pincers, the claws that the crab has. Cancer will defend as required to protect and sustain. And this is another feature of it. I mean, mothers can be very protective of their children, of their offspring. What video is it? A dog that has a litter, they will be extremely aggressive. I saw a video, what was it? No, this was a video of a dog, a litter of a dog, and someone was feeding the puppies and the mom. And that mom was so thankful. I think the mom had gone out and grabbed someone and brought it to the side of the road where the litter was. It was one of those videos. and the mom was out like risking the life to get the attention. This is the kind of initiating power. Remember, Cancer is a cardinal sign. We will initiate things, we'll move into powerful action to defend, to protect and defend. But it's all about that motivation, that deeper motivation, the profundity of life itself, the need to nurture and foster life and foster truth and wisdom. We have to, how are we protecting it? That might be the question. How are you fostering this meeting with the oracle, if we just go with this hypothetical? What are you doing to protect the birth here of some kind of wisdom arriving soon? You might have to push out things and intentionally build containers for that wisdom to, be delivered. And this is part of the Cancerian. What's your shell that's protecting you and bringing the profundity? It's providing a location for the profundity. All right, just another quick thing about the chart. All of Cancer season, all the placements that go through Cancer, namely the Sun and Mercury, the whole time they are averse from Mars and Saturn, because Saturn is hanging out in Pisces, straight up of trining. So that's a lovely aspect, of supportive aspect from Saturn. And Mars is averse while it's in Leo, and then 10 July, Mars enters Virgo, and then will sextile the placements that are in Cancer. And so you have the malefics not doing harm. It's another reason why I wanted to make this video, actually, because it's a special Cancer season. You get the Cazimi of Mercury exactly sextile Jupiter, all while Mars and Saturn aren't doing harm. And Jupiter, the exaltation lord, sextiles from Taurus, bringing those life-giving powers of nature, right, the Taurian, the fixed earth sign, to the forefront and the focus, because this Cazimi, these two planets, rely on their exaltation lord. And then they filter partially through the nature of that exaltation lord and what it's doing in the transiting sky, which is an earthy wisdom and truism and truth that comes through the wonders of nature. It's that Grateful Dead song. Have you ever heard that? We can discover the wonders of nature down by the riverside. I know that's not the exact lyric. It's called Sugar Magnolia is the song. Play it up on YouTube. It's a great, where I'm from, some of you are all over the world that listen to this, but where I'm from, it's the kind of music that comes out of the American, just my American experience. This kind of blues, country, folk music that I grew up playing and listening to and all of it. But it's called Sugar Magnolia by the Grateful Dead. It's the wisdom and truth that comes from the natural environments. I think that'll play a huge role in this oracle's delivery of truth during this upcoming transit. And then I wanted us to give two quotes. This is from goodhousekeeping.com, kind of a kitsch magazine, a little bit of a cheesy magazine. Growing up, these were in the grocery stores, or down in Texas, you'd go through the grocery stores, Good Housekeeping. Not really like a hip magazine, but still, this is an article from the website. Maybe they're cooler these days, I don't know. But there's two quotes I pulled from this article. First, from Andy Warhol: I think having land and not ruining it is the most beautiful art that anybody could ever want. This is the creativity of Jupiter and Taurus, and how that can trigger these profound Cancerian reflections. The second quote from Buddha, I'm not sure what book this is from, maybe the Dhammapada, I don't know. There's a lot of different texts. There's the Dhammapada, there's sutras, there's all kinds of Buddhist sutras, and there's different traditions and all of it, but this is the quote: if you wish to know the divine, feel the wind on your face and the warm sun on your hand. And there's something to that. Just get out and sit and just feel nature. I was at the beach a couple of weeks back, and the last day we were there, we just laid on the beach for like an hour. And I covered my face and just laid there and just listened to the beach. And it was so rejuvenating. All of the traveling and all of it just to get there was worth that 1 hour. That brief little moment just to be on the beach and right next to the ocean. And it came up and splashed my jeans. At some point I had to get up. That's how I was just in this meditative state. But it's the truth in nature. That's what the opportunity here is during this Cancer season. Mercury Cazimi, sextile Jupiter and Taurus. And then finally, the lunar nodes are coming for cardinal signs. The lunar nodes enter Aries, Libra, true north node in Aries, true south node in Libra. This happens on the 17th of July. So it's coming very quick on the heels of this moment. It actually happens while the sun is still in Cancer. So during Cancer season, right there on the 17th of July, the last 6 days, you now have the true lunar nodes in Cancer. Now I know it's not an eclipse, but it's the sun at the north bending meeting the nodes. It's the first meeting of the sun at the north bending in the cardinal axis, and this will feel eclipsy. This is a major trigger from those 20 April events that happened around that first eclipse in Aries. Now the nodes are there, and now the sun is squaring the nodes at the north bending. Get ready for a furtherance of your cardinal eclipse story. If you're cardinal rising or have major cardinal placements, this is it. It's now going to be jolted here in the middle, towards the end of July. Someone with a lot of cardinal energy, bring those eclipses, get into your fate, align with God and move into what reality is calling you to be, what the fates, if you think about the three fates idea, or what, your guides or whatever. However you think about this eclipse energy, it's time to be open and then meet what's unfolding in your life. And I have here, use the time to prepare. The Mercury Cazimi, for example, get those downloads, get your message from the oracle, and then now cardinal signs are going to be pulled into the fatedness. It'll be go time, so to speak, here very soon, 17 July. The sun at the north bending, that'll happen like 22 July, right before it enters Leo, 22, 23 July. And so thanks for being here. I hope you can get something out of this. Prepare for this Cancer moment to help us before the intensifications that will emerge with that nodal ingress. You can always go to my website, sjanderson144.com, check out my reading schedule there, and have a great week. Enjoy that Cazimi on 1 July, and I'll talk to you very, very soon.